Hello there everybody, Dev here with the Rogue Deck Chronicles, and today I am here with a deck archetype that is definitely on the more nuttier, more fun list and tier list kind of piece. This is not a deck that I would say is going to win a regional, win a League Cup, but man, it's a deck that I would love to bring to a League Night and just have fun with. And that deck this week is Mega Zygarde EX. So those who do not know, Mega Zygarde EX is a 310 HP basic Mega Pokemon that's fighting type. So it gives up 3 prizes when knocked out, but it is a basic. And it has 2 attacks printed on the card. First is Gaia Wave, 3 fighting energy, 200, and you take 30 less damage from the next turn. So that's a good kind of putting pressure on. 3 energy does seem a lot, but we'll talk about how it's made a lot easier going into your turn 2, turn 3. And then the attack that I'm going to try to pull off today is for 5 fighting energy, nullifying 0. For each of your opponent's Pokemon, flip a coin. If heads, this attack does 150 damage to that Pokemon. For the bench Pokemon, we do not apply weakness or resistance. For the active Pokemon, we do. Now, there's some limitations with this attack, beyond the fact that it's 5 fighting energy. If it's a Terra Pokemon on the bench, the damage doesn't count. You can flip heads, but you're still doing 0 damage because Terra Pokemon have built-in bench barrier. Shaman blocks this on non-rule box Pokemon. So if your opponent has a Shaman in play, the attack does nothing. So we have to play in the right circumstances, in the right matchups. And honestly, the biggest problem with this attack, it is a coin flip. We can go 6-0, we can go 0-6, we can go everything in between. If you're not hitting the heads on the Pokemon at the time you want to do that coin flip, you could be wasting your attack phase. And that's perfectly fine, because that's the whole point of this deck, is to see what we can get away with, see what we can have fun with, and just honestly have a good time. So, how do we get this deck to work now that we talked about a 5 energy attack, a 3 energy attack that does coin flips? Well, first in terms of draw support, we are running the classic Solrock Lunatone draw engine. So we're going to Luna Cycle, that's going to be part of our draw, puts fighting energy into the discard pile, and for us, it's one of the best places for our fighting energy because we have a lot of ways to get that back. Now, in terms of getting that 5 energy up and running as quick as possible, we're running a 3-3 line of the Barbaracle from Perfect Order as well. Has the ability of Stone Arms. Once in your turn, you may use this ability. Attach a basic fighting energy from your hand to one of your fighting Pokemon. So we can attach, using Stone Arms, up to 3 of those energy in our hand, and then do our manual attachment for turn. So that allows us to get 4 of the 5 nullifying 0 energies in a singular turn. So turn 2, we can nullify 0. We can attack out of nowhere. But that's not the only attack that Mega Zygarde's going to have. Mega Zygarde did come with this tool card, Core Memory, in the Perfect Order set. It can only be attached. Well, the card can be attached to anything, but only Mega Zygarde can use the attack. Geobuster, for energy. 350, discard all energy from this Pokemon. So this is our nuke. This is our Stage 2 EX, Mega Pokemon, one-shot ability Pokemon here, because if we can't do that, if it's more than 200, we can knock this out at the cost of discarding all energy. But you may say, Dev, that sounds like a steep price. It is, but we run 1 Energy Retrieval, so that gets 2 of those energy back, and we run 2 Tarragon. Tarragon's a supporter that was released during Perfect Order. Put up to any combination of 4 fighting Pokemon and basic fighting energy from your discard pile to your hand. That's the play, guys. We discard the energy if we have to use Geobuster, get it back with Tarragon, and just rinse and repeat. So, that being said, let's go over the tools and pieces that gets everything out. This is a fighting deck, so we're running 4 Fighting Gong, allows us to get our basic fighting energy and our basic Pokemon into play. We are running 3 Poké Pad. Yes, this sounds weird that a Mega EX deck is relying on Poké Pad as a search, but its engine is all non-rule box Pokemon, so Poké Pad makes sense. We run 1 Pokégear to kind of pick out a supporter when we need it. As a fighting deck, Premium Power Pro, that allows us for that Geobuster to overcome the Stage 2 Megas like Venusaur and one-shot them. but it also fixes some math on the stage 1 EXs as well for a Gaia Wave, ignoring the Geo Buster. We are running 2 Battle Cage as our stadium, not only as a counter stadium for our matchups, but this also would prevent any Monkey Dory shenanigans and being played after we do a nullifying 0 if we don't get a KO on something. So it kind of just protects our board after we do that 150 spread. Now, in terms of supporters, 4 Lillie for draw, 1 Iris Fighting Spirit, 3 Boss, 1 Judge. Not a typical spread, but it kind of does what I need. The Judge is your counter for Alakazam. Your Iris Fighting Spirit is if you have a low hand size, you can build that back up with 6. Lillie is arguably the best draw supporter in the game, hands down in my opinion. And then Boss's orders allow us to put something into the active like a Terra Pokemon and still be able to take most damage and most effect out of our damage. Now, we are running 1 Prime Catcher. That's our A-Spec, that's helping with our switches, but also our Guts. Because the only other way we can switch is with Air Balloon without having to pay that retreat cost. So, this deck is... It can be clunky at worst and satisfying at best. I'm not going to sugarcoat it any other way. But I built it for the fact that I wanted to have the most fun with this deck. I want to have the most fun with this card. I like having a good time at League. And I think this deck is the spirit of having a great League night with friends. This deck allows you to kind of just have fun by flipping coins or rolling that dice and kind of just seeing what fate allows you to have. This is a deck that brings me back to when I lived in Georgia and I just played a silly deck to see what could happen. And being at League on Thursday night with my buddies and being able to just do something silly regardless of the wins and losses. This is what this deck embodies for me. And that's also a very important reason why I'm bringing that up is that this weekend is the Orlando Regional. This weekend is also going to be the first time I get to see those friends for the first time in almost 3 years. Because I moved away from the Georgia area. But they come down to Orlando and they come to this tournament whenever it is hosted. So I want to be able to show that the relationships that Pokemon has been able to give me by playing a deck that was able to kind of bridge that gap. So, with that being said, guys, list will be in the description of the video. And before we go into any of the games, I want to make you aware that you probably haven't subscribed to the channel. And I say that because YouTube tells me 90% of you guys haven't. So, just look down to see if you've subscribed. We play a lot of fun decks, we play a lot of rogue decks, we play a lot of mid-power decks. Not every deck's going to be a fun, silly deck like this Mega Zygarde. Some decks are going to be fantastic, like the Doublade deck my brother did last week. We have some other really fun ideas coming in the works with Perfect Order. So definitely click subscribe and click that notification bell. We do videos twice a week, Tuesdays and Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, can't remember the schedule, that notification button allows you to do it for you. So that being said, let's jump onto the ladder to see how we do. Okay, so we're leading with Solrock. Not the worst lead. Cosmic Beam, as long as we get a Lunatone, we can start putting some form of pressure. Okay, let's Rocky Fighting here. We are going to get rid of 2 energy. Let's grab a Lunatone. Let's Lunar Cycle. That's 3 energy in this card, but we can always Tarragon. Let's Fighting Gong for the Mega Zygarde. This has actually turned out to be a really good turn. Minus being able to attack this turn, this has been a really good turn. So we're going to end turn with the Poké Pad for a Barbaracle next turn. We can Lillie for more pieces. And then now we just kind of have to watch Dragon Ball do its thing. It'd be very interesting to see a Dino? This Hydragapult is this Hydreigon using the Dracolock engine? Because they don't have any real overlap. Okay. I'm intrigued. My opponent definitely has my attention. Let's see what we can get. Yeah, we're gonna get the damage there, that's fine. Let's Lillie. Because we can at least minimum is that we can KO, which is fine. So energy, lunar cycle for more, stone arms onto the bench Zygarde there. Do I want a Fighting Gong for a third Binacle? I think we might. Yeah, it's Fighting Gong for the third Binacle. Yes, it puts damage on it, but that's fine. Because then we could try to power up this guy with some evolutions next turn. Let's take the Cosmic Beam knockout. Let's see what we get off the prize, which is a Poké Pad, which is a Barbaracle at this point. We have the Tarragon, have all that energy in the discard pile. So I think we're in a good spot to be able to try to pull off the fun stuff. But we also have the core memory, so we can also knock out this Terra. So I think that's what we'll do. I think we play smart and do the core memory, Geobuster for the KO, and really make our opponent struggle to kind of claw back. And if that's the case, we really only need 2 energy to Geobuster, and they got rid of some of our pieces, which is fine. They're gonna get 1 prize. We're gonna get 2. So let's promote the Mega Zygarde here. Okay. So we have the core memory. Let's Poké Pad for the Barbaracle. Evolve. Let's put another Zygarde into play just for bench protection here. Let's Night Stretcher 1 energy into our hand and see what our Lunar Cycle gets us. Oh, we can't Lunar Cycle because we don't have Solrock. Duh. Okay. We can still Stone Arms. Okay. Let's Pokégear. I'm gonna grab the Lillie for next turn. Because we're gonna Tarragon, and I think what we're gonna do... We'll put the Solrock back in the hand as well. So we have turns here. So there's the KO. We know we have the KO there. We can also Stone Arm into another Mega Zygarde, just to protect for the turn. And we'll Geobuster, knock out their main attacker, knock out their threat. Yeah, we put all those back in. We run a whole bunch of Tarragon, so I'm not too worried about that. But we have an opponent with a 3-card hand, no energy, and just a Dino. We got an Energy Retrieval, so there's 2 energy right there. We could also Air Balloon out into the semi-powered. So we have a good board state, believe it or not. This is actually not a half bad board state to try to recover and try to just close out the game. This deck can definitely just put pressure. That's the beauty of just having a big beefy Mega 310 HP basic is that this just came out of nowhere and put pressure out of nowhere. So I guess the question is, do we go for the thing? Or do we just go conservative and just try to put pressure everywhere? I think we might have to go for the thing. If he puts a Monkey Dory down and just trying to push damage around, I think we go for the thing. I think we try to do 5 energy. We can't do 5 on our active, but we could put 5 onto this benched. But we need to get an evolution out of that. Definitely need to get an evolution, because he's just slowly going to poke down this Binacle. Alright, let's get rid of Risky Ruin. And then Battle Cage is just a hard counter to everything. I think I'm going to go for it. I'm going to try. Oh, you know what I realized? We can't Air Balloon out because of the core memory. It's kind of just there. So that's fine. We'll Gaia Wave, I guess. Let's get ourselves 6 cards here. Night Stretcher. Won't give us anything I want this turn. I'm not really worried about the boss. We also run 3. So we kind of run a lot in this list already. Okay. So we're going to Gaia Wave. We're just going to take the knockout. We have the Battle Cage up. So when it counter stadiums, the Risky Ruin, so they can't get any more in play. Any more damage cards raw in play. It hard counters that Monkey Dory. And now we have a turn to really see what we want to do. I would absolutely love to try to get 1 nullifying 0 off in this sports state. It'd just be so much fun. Even if we go 0-5 on the flips. I just want to do the thing. Yeah, so they're just trying to move the Battle Cage. They just took damage off their board, which doesn't affect any of our math in any way, shape, or form. So we can Gong and Stretcher this turn to get 2 energy onto the active Zygarde. And then from there, kind of figure out what we want to do. They have the Dracolock with the Neo Upper. So I'm curious on what they're trying to do. Are they just trying to get another Rare Candy Hydreigon combination? There's a Fez on the bench. They're going to draw 3 cards there. And then they concede. They wouldn't let us do the fun. But yeah, this deck, ignoring the nullifying 0, right? This deck definitely can do a lot with the Gaia Wave, that Geo Buster, just being able to just nuke that stage 2 EX in 1 turn. It was game changing and really kind of crippled our opponent and let us kind of run away from the game. Okay, so we're going second, leading with Binacle, but we have a lot of really good resources this turn. Binacle, go in the active. For us to see if we can try to stabilize against, it looks like a Cerulean Edge deck, so we'll be able to do something against a meta deck of some degree. So we have the Poké Pad, we have the Fighting Gong, so we can actually be able to get our own Lunatone Solrock engine going. We have the Lillie, we have the Air Balloon to get the Binacle out of the active this turn. Legacy Energy, okay. So we take 1 less prize when we do knock this out. Now, what we could do is promote the Solrock and just knock out the Charcadet. And get, yeah, we don't get a prize, but we get rid of one of his Charcadecks. And kind of go from there. And they're going to Carmine turn 1. That's actually a very... Opponent's just going off. Getting rid of a Ceruledge and a Night Stretcher that quickly? Okay. Okay. Okay, so... let's do what we were talking about. So let's grab a Lunatone. Grab a Solrock. Air Balloon. And then let's Lillie. Let's Lunar Cycle. Because we have the energy in hand here now. We're going to retreat. The only thing that would have made this turn better would be getting a Zygarde into play. But other than that, this is actually not a half bad turn. So it's Cosmic Beam. We'll knock out this Charcadet. We're not going to get a prize. That's fine. But it does put our opponent behind, I guess. Charcadet, but the thing is, Ceruledge just needs 1 energy to attach. We just put another energy in there, so 1, 2, 3, 4 energy in the discard pile already. Another Carmine. So they're just trying to they're trying to dig for the evolution. And then they know they have what they need to do, at least to knock out this Solrock. Looks like they potentially have missed it. If that's the case, yeah, they missed it. They're just going to give us a Solrock to have to handle, which is fine. I'm definitely going to try to stabilize my board now that we have time. So let's see what we get here for... Yeah, we can't Iris because we have way too many things in hand. So let's... Ultra Ball away, a Solrock, and... Let's just Ultra Ball away those 2 pieces. We only have 1 Zygarde, so the other Zygarde's prize. That's fine. That's fine. Everything is fine. So let's Stone Arm onto the Mega here. Let's Air Balloon the Solrock, because we kind of do still kind of need it for the pieces, right? So... it's 2 energy in the discard. I kind of want to keep the Prime Catcher for later. I want to put the core memory there. Yeah, let's Retrieval. Because I'd rather put the energy in the deck. And then let's Lillie for 8. This is kind of making me think very, very like intentionally here. Because now really like... So we're 10 shy for knocking out the Solrock. If we would have got another Premium Power Pro, it would have been different. And I don't want to waste the Premium Power Pro. So we're just going to hold on to it for a turn. Because really what it is if our opponent can get a Ceruledge, I'd rather have that to do the Gaia Wave for like maybe KO numbers. Because I really don't want to rely on the Geo Buster all the time here. Yeah, our opponent's trying to dig, and that's perfectly fine. They can dig. What are they trying to Poké Pad for is the question. For another Solrock, okay. I'm trying to keep their engine kind of alive there. So really, because here's the situation, I guess, is Ceruledge is a Terra Pokemon, so it has that natural bench barrier. So we do have to kind of punch through it. And the Premium Power Pro will allow us to help do that without having to rely on the Geo Buster. So, okay, so our opponent did not get the evolution. So we really have this turn to really try to put the game on its head by doing the thing. So let's do the thing. And see what we get. So Tarragon can get energy. There's nothing for Tarragon to grab, but we can. Okay. I'm not going to grab that. Let's Lunar Cycle. Okay. Let's Lillie for 8, so we need the energy. We got the energy, okay. It was a little tight, but we got the energy. So this is doing the thing. I think that's really the best course of action for this turn, is to try to put pressure on this board. By doing the nullifying 0. Even just 2 heads would be great. Okay, 3 heads on 3. So we got 3 prizes out of that. It's not the worst thing in the world, and we still have the capability of surviving. Night Stretcher if the Zygarde goes down. The Tarragon not in hand, but it's definitely in the deck still. Our opponent's having these resources to kind of restabilize. But I am going to be very shocked, and I mean very, very shocked, if he does not attack this turn. Okay, there goes the core memory. That's fine. 270, yeah, so we kind of did need that core memory. And bow. Alright, I think we have 1 more in the deck. I think we run 2 core memories for that. But the core memory doesn't mean anything if our opponent is going to one-shot us. And with the amount of resources they just dumped, I'm pretty sure they just will. Like, let's be 100% honest. So, how many energy are they putting into that discard pile? I could do the math. I want to see the math. I want to see the math myself. Because they are thinning themselves way down. And I mean way down. They have 5 cards left in deck. And they're doing 350. So they pretty much have maxed out their capabilities there. And we have the Night Stretcher, so we can bring that back. So let's see if we can bring what we need to bring. Because we can do 4 energy, but that's really the best we can do. So first things first. Let's Night Stretcher the Zygarde back into hand. And back into play. Let's attach for turn. Let's Battle Cage. But we'll get rid of the Battle Cages, really. We can keep the Lunatone in deck. Let's Energy Switch to there. So that's 2. And let's Lillie for 6 fresh cards. Oh, we're so close. No, we got it. So we just need 4. We got it. We got there. Now, how are we going to be able to get the last prize is the real question. But I'll worry about that next turn. I'll worry about that next turn. So it's Geobuster, knocking out the Swirledge. No other real attacker on board right now. And we are down to a single prize. We have an energy in hand. We got the Pokégear. Tarragon. How many Tarragons do we have left to kind of manage through? We have the Tarragon. So I believe we're going to be fine. We just have to get the 3 energy onto this Mega Zygarde, which can be a thing. So we have 1 here. I want to see what this Pokégear will get us off the top deck, and kind of go from there. Because our opponent's down to 1 card. Like, I think they don't have an attacker this turn, which is a good piece. We just need to make sure we do an attack this turn. That's really all we need to do, is we need to make sure we do an attack this turn just for that. Unless our opponent concedes. I can see that concede at this point. But that last turn, we were able to get all the energy, get the core memory back. That just came out of nowhere. That was cool. That's what this deck can do, is attacks out of nowhere because of the Barbaracles. So, Fighting Gong, I think just kind of... One of these last 5 cards has to be Swirledge for this to even be a threat. And if they pass, I'm going to treat it as a threat. And they don't. Okay, so we got what we needed. We were able to kind of just pop that attack out of nowhere. This deck can do that. We were able to show off the Nullifying Zero, the Geobuster. It's just... It can do a lot. 310's a lot to do. You saw what this Swirledge had to burn through just to knock out one of them, let alone trying to survive 2. So, fun deck. Fun little archetype here. It's definitely in the meme to fun territory. Like, let's just be honest, guys. This deck is not meant to go to a cup or a regional and win. Can you win games? Absolutely, showed that off today. I just love playing the deck. I think this Nullifying Zero attack is just so much fun. You get to flip coins and see what happens. Sometimes you go 0 for 6, sometimes you go 6-0. And we saw against Swirledge, we went 3-2, and it did just enough damage to really cause our opponent to sweat. So, it's a fun deck. Core Memory, underrated tool card. It really only works in this type of archetype. But you saw what it can do. 350 out of nowhere with the Barbaracle is nutty. So, there's Mega Zygarde, at least my version of Mega Zygarde. I know there's lists out there that is utilizing Mega Zygarde better, making it having a one of Mega Hawlucha as a backup attacker, Mega Zygarde itself being a one of and maybe a Mega Lucario deck. It can definitely have a whole bunch of different faces. But if you really just want to do Nullifying Zero, I think this is the best way to go about it, because it allows you to just pile on 4 energy in a single turn, and as long as you are kind of just planning a turn or two ahead, you're going to have the most fun with it. But as always, this deck list will be in the description of the video. Let me know what you think about Mega Zygarde. Yes, do not go in the comment section and tell me this is a bad list. I know it is. I had fun with it. That was my main goal of making this deck. I just wanted to see how I could pull off Nullifying Zero. I wish I could do a little more, but when your opponent sees 5 energy, they usually fear for the worst. But other than that, guys, thank you for making this far into the video. I greatly appreciate it, and as always, have fun playing those sneaky decks.